Good morning, dear students. In the lower classes, you have studied what is a physical change and what is chemical change. You have also studied the characteristics of a physical change and characteristics of a chemical change. You know the various examples of a physical change as well as for chemical change. Today, we are going to start with chemical reactions. First and foremost, what do you understand by the term chemical reactions? A chemical reaction is a process that leads to the chemical transformation of one set of chemical substances to another. Meaning, when two or more substances react chemically, it gives rise to a new product. I can even say the substance or the substances initially involved in a chemical reactions are called reactants or reagents. Chemical reactions are usually characterized by a chemical change and they yield one or more product which usually have properties different from the reactants. So, in simple English, a chemical change that occurs when two or more substances combine to form a new substance. What is chemical bonding? Before I start with chemical bonding, let me say a line about it. Chemistry states the more energy you put into a bond, the harder it is to break. Now let us study in terms of chemistry. What is it? Chemical bonding refers to the formation of a chemical bond between two or more atoms, molecules, or ions to give rise to a chemical compound. These chemical bonds are what keep the atoms together in the resulting compound. It is the attractive force which holds various constituent atoms or ions together and stabilizes them by the overall loss of energy is known as chemical bonding. Or you can put it simply, chemical bond may be defined as the force of attraction that holds the constituent atoms together in a molecule. Now, before we start with types of chemical bonds, let me remind you once more, what are the reasons for chemical bonding between atoms? What are the reasons for chemical bonding between atoms? Firstly, it is related to the tendency of each atom to attain stable electronic configuration of the nearest noble gas, meaning these atoms it wants to obtain the structure of a stable noble gas, meaning 8 electrons in the outermost shell, which we also call a octet structure. Now, let us discuss the types of chemical bonds. First, we are going to discuss is ionic bond, which is also called electrovalent bond. The second one is covalent bond, and the third one is coordinate bond, and the fourth one is hydrogen bond. But we are not interested in coordinate bond nor hydrogen bond. We will be discussing studying only ionic bond and covalent bond. Let us deal with ionic bond. It is also called electrovalent bond. Ionic bonding is a type of chemical bonding which involves a transfer of electrons from one atom or molecule to another. That means electron, maybe one or two or more, is getting transferred from one atom to another. Here, an atom loses an electron, which is in turn gained by another atom. When such an electron transfer takes place, one of the atoms develops a negative charge and is known as the anion. The other atom develops a positive charge and is called a cation. The ionic bond gains strength from the difference in charge between the two atoms. That is, the greater the charge disparity between the cation and the anion, the stronger the ionic bond. Let me explain it in simple words. This type of a chemical bond, it usually takes place between a metallic element and a non-metallic element. The metallic element loses electron, hence it forms a positively charged ion, which we call cation. Whereas the non-metallic element, it gains electron and forms a negatively charged ion, which we call anion. Since these two are oppositely charged, it is held together by a very strong force of attraction, which we call electrostatic force of attraction. For instance, there are many examples of ionic compounds like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, calcium oxide, zinc oxide. So, one is a metallic element and the other is a non-metallic element. Now, let's move on to the next, which we call covalent bond. What is a covalent bond? A covalent bond indicates the sharing of electrons between atoms. Compounds that contain carbon, also called organic compounds, commonly exhibit this type of chemical bonding. The pair of electrons which are shared by the two atoms now extend around the nuclei of atoms, leading to the creation of a molecule. On the right side, you'll see there CH4 is a molecule of methane gas, CH4. What kind of bonding is there? Covalent bond, because sharing of electrons is taking place. Sharing of electrons is taking place. So, covalent bond, you can say, is formed by sharing of electrons between two reacting atoms. The pair of electrons is referred to as shared pair of electrons. In a covalent bond, no transfer of electrons take place. It is simply sharing of electrons. So the compounds that are formed by covalent bonds, we call it covalent compound. For instance, you see methane, that is CH4, CO2 carbon dioxide, Cl2 chlorine molecule, H2O water molecule. Now that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Once more, I would like to remind you, please go through your book. Please answer the questions that follows in the assignment neatly and correctly. And do not forget to mention the assignment number as well as the date. Thank you.